Hari Om. This is Alicia from Ayurveda with Alicia, and in today's video we're going to cover the 9 essential Sanskrit terms for all Ayurveda students or anyone really endeavoring to optimize and really cultivate beautiful vitality and health in their body. These 9 terms were actually extrapolated from Shushruta's definition of health. So this is the Ayurvedic definition of health, and it comes from one of the core foundational sutras of the 3 main Brihatrayi, the 3 main texts of Ayurveda as they were written down about 5,000 years ago. And all of Sushruta is one of those authors. So this is his sutra definition of health. And you'll see as it's revealed, it's a really beautiful, rich, has lots of layers of meaning. And this tradition of Ayurveda was an oral tradition for about 5,000 years before it ever even got written down. So these sutras were packed, dense packets of information that were passed on from teacher to student over many generations and lifetimes and years, and then unpacked together in relationship. So one of the really beautiful, meaningful, traditional, and classic ways of studying Ayurveda is to memorize the sutras, or at the very least is just to sing them over and over and over so that you can create direct relationship to not just the terms and the meanings of the words, but also to reveal the bigger, more beautiful body of wisdom, and you are in direct relationship with that body of wisdom. The Ayurveda, as we know it, the Ayurveda personified is the Ayurveda. And so this sutra is one of the foundational core teachings in Ayurveda, and these 9 terms contained within it unlock many like endless discussion and topics that we can unfold together, unravel, and go down to more deeply understand the nature of the body, the nature of how prana moves in your form and in the universe as a whole, how your mental, emotional body works and relates to existence, and then also to understand the nature of consciousness as a whole, where Ayurveda is actually a system of not just correcting illness, reversing illness, or supporting the health and vitality of a physical organism. Ayurveda understands that the body and the mind and our consciousness, they're all deeply interconnected, and actually provides a map for our full being, integrated awakening into the higher realms of knowledge and wisdom and the understanding of the bigger cosmos that we are a part of. So that being said, let's just start with the chanting of the sutra itself, and then we'll just start to break down a few of the terms. And this breakdown in this short video is also a supplement to a downloadable PDF. If you don't have it already, it's possible that if you're watching this video, you downloaded the PDF, which is why you're watching this. And if that's you, thank you and welcome. And it's also possible if you're watching this video, you are just getting introduced to this topic. And if you want to have a printable PDF, you can go ahead and click the link in the description below this video and you can download it there. So here is the sutra. You can just pause and take it in if you don't have the whole write-up in front of you. And if you want, you can read along as well and practice chanting it. So it goes like this. Samadosha, samagnischa, samadhatu malakriyaha, prasanatmindriyamanaha, swasta ityabhidiyate. And so these beautiful Sanskrit words start with the term, you'll hear it repeated a few times, the word sama. So sama dosha, sama agni, sama dhatu, sama malakriyaha. So this is referring to the first 4 layers of your health, which do start with the physical, the densest, most earth-based aspect of us, which are the functional movements of the 5 elements in nature and how they interact and relate in the body. We know those as Vata, Pitta, Kapha. But Sama is referring to they are all operating in harmony with one another in the system. So Sama is like the harmony and the ease and the flow. There's a flow, and that flow, when we have a harmony or a proper flow of all of the doshas always moving out of our system when they become excess and they're not accumulating and therefore causing problems with our health, then that means we have the felt sense of balance. So sometimes you'll hear this word translated to mean balance. So we have the first 4 layers, sama dosha, sama agni. Agni is the internal fire that is residing. Basically, it's the life and the warmth and the vitality and the health of your whole system. The principal Agni or fire is located in your stomach. And that fire, called Jatara Agni, is governing all of the fires in your body. Down to every single cell of your cellular metabolism is being governed by the Jatara Agni. And the Jatara Agni is also residing over or controlling or kind of dictating the vibrancy of the fires and the health of all the other main ones, every single organ, every single dhatu, or the 7 bodily tissues of yours. Your liver itself has 5 agnis, the Bhuta agnis, 1 for each element, ether, air, fire, water, earth. And every single organ has an agni that is being governed by the Jatara Agni in your stomach. So the Jatara Agni in your stomach is governing over all of these fires and making sure that your tissues become nourished. And the next word, dhatu, sama dhatu, we're saying, the Agni is residing or presiding over the health and vitality of these tissues to make sure that all of your bodily tissues can transform the nutrients that you intake through your 5 senses, especially through your mouth and what goes into the stomach. And then those nutrients are able to be broken down from big macro particles into little micronutrients that the blood can absorb and deliver to all the tissues. And then the tissues can be well formed. And you have 7 bodily tissues that make up all of your muscles, bones, organs, blood, everything, nervous system. We call those rasa, rakta, mamsa, meda, asti, maja, artava, and shukra, which is a whole nother teaching topic outside of this video. But just so you hear those names once and you go, I have all 7 of these tissues. They are sequentially nourished. So everything that I eat in 35 to 40 days from now will become each of those tissues. And the samadhatu, having balanced, nourished, harmonious tissues, means they are well formed, they are healthily established. And in order for your consciousness to arise, and in order for you to perceive the more subtle aspects of existence, we want to have the doshas be balanced, the Agni be burning bright and in the right place, and we want to be having the tissues well formed in the body that allow for a stable, healthy foundation to integrate everything that you experience in life. Not to mention any goal that you can possibly perceive or conceive of right now or wish for in your life. These first 3 things that we just mentioned are the foundation too. So that brings us to, the first thing we're talking about balance and nourishment of more so on like the intake, nourishing the tissues and the dhatus. The next word that we come across is this word mala. Now, mala kriyaha is the phrase in this sutra. And so the body needs to be able to remove its wastes. It's funny because most people who've studied a little bit of Sanskrit or yoga, were a little confused. Well, why is the word mala and mala both the same spelling? And mala is the prayer beads that you chant japa on. So they're a very sacred item. And then we think of mala being the waste product that's leaving the body. It's like excretion. But at its core, that word means a garland. So it's a constantly moving garland of things, whether it's chanting prayers in your singing a garland of names, or whether it's the body constantly moving and releasing its excesses, because your physical body and your mental emotional body, which our mental emotional body in Ayurveda is also is considered physical. So they're non-different. The physical and mental emotional self, so our very dense and our subtle self in Ayurveda, are both considered the physical body. They're considered non-different. You can't take them apart. They're the same. So when we say the physical body in Ayurveda, we mean physical, mental, emotional body. Isn't that interesting? So all that to say, the physical, mental, emotional body, the sharira, needs to be, it's like analogous to a stream. So where your body is not just a static state of homeostasis. There's a constant flow and movement that is happening no matter if you're awake or asleep. It's a constant flow, just like a water in a river. It's a constant flow. And if any of that prana or physical matter gets stopped up and that river gets dammed, it creates problems. And either that's emotions getting clogged up and stuck, or whether that's the physical tissues getting kind of constipated, backed up, and creating the accumulation of waste in the body, which then becomes really unhealthy or toxic to the whole system, because everything needs to be constantly moving. So mala kriyaha is also vital to, so samadosha, sama agni, sama dhatu, sama mala kriyaha. So everything has to be healthy on all these 4 layers. And from that gives you the greatest opportunity to meet the purpose of your life, to be able to take on, the purpose of your life, the challenges of your life, and to meet the goals of your life. And then this beautiful definition goes beyond the foundation. So these are the physical, mental, emotional foundations of health. And then we are revealed the next opportunity and possibility, which are the next set of words. So we have prasanatma indriya manaha. So prasana is a word that is usually translated to mean bliss, but it's actually the experience. I mean, it's bliss and you'll see in your packet, there's like a whole bunch of descriptions that we won't cover everything in the packet on this video. And we'll cover some things in the video that aren't in the packet, but there's the experience that you have when you're in prasana it's a bliss because you are self-satisfied. So right where you sit, you're not hankering for something different. You're not longing. You're not pushed by what we call rajas and tamas, which are the energies, kinetic energies and potential energies of distraction and of numbness or or insensitivity. So there are things that we are unaware of in our system right now, and those are called tamas. That means they're kind of in our blind spot. There are things that are rajas in our system that are busyness and movement and ideas and cravings. So we are constant flow. Human beings are a constant flow of these two forces of rajas and tamas. So when you are in prasana, you're not being pushed and pulled by the constant cravings and aversions of rajas and tamas in your system. So prasana means, oh, I experience a bliss that's not an experience. It's that I'm residing in a place of self-satisfaction, of unprompted joy. That's just the joy of your own spirit or your atma or your natural state of being, residing in naturalness where I don't have needs that are prompting me to go outside of my center. So that's prasana. So that line says prasana atma indriya manaha means you're experiencing prasana on the three main levels: in the mind, in your five senses. So everything you see, hear, touch, taste, smell. In Ayurvedic language, you call that Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Everything we take in through our five senses has that quality of prasana, meaning those impressions that come in through your five senses don't disturb you, doesn't disturb your system, or you see sweetness and beauty in all of your senses. All of your senses perceive sweetness and beauty. So that means the channels are clear and you're feeding those senses healthy impressions that are supporting that as a positive feedback loop in your life. So prasana, atma, indriya, manaha. So the mind is kind of calm. Your mind is like the texture of a sky of a bright sunny day. It has an even disposition of neutrality in it. And so the mind is experienced like that, the senses are experienced like that, and the atma is essentially radiating through. So to have that experience where your body-mind complex are cultivated in such a way through the practice of applying Ayurveda in your day-to-day life, living in naturalness, living in a way that the flow of the river is constantly communicating and flowing well and healthily. When that's happening, this definition, written by Sushruta 5,000 years ago, is reminding us that that's the possibility for our human form, to have that experience where the Atma or the soul is actually radiating through, because all the channels are unimpeded. Just imagine the effect that even tasting that experience for a little part of your day every day would have on your life, let alone being able to live from that place. So this is everything we just described is swasta. It's being able to live from that place, not just as a temporary moment of feeling bliss here and there, or feeling balanced, or feeling flow in your system, but a seat that you establish, that you are consistently sitting in, living from, moving from. All of your actions come from that place of prasana, atma, indriya, manaha. So that everything comes from that place of self-satisfaction. My spirit is allowed to animate everything that I do, not rajas and tamas, not these energies that are just trying to get my needs met, and consciously or unconsciously. Now, in a healing journey, just for full context as I say this, because this for some of us can sound like a big ideal, but it is the absolute opportunity for every entity, for every human being to utilize and dance with Ayurveda in this way, to be able to have this experience of swasta. Swasta is also a concept that we can, when we're on a healing journey, so what I was just starting to say, there's a baseline of health that is defined in the first half of this definition that does need to be achieved, so to speak. So when you are in a deficit, there are natural cravings that you have to be able to come back up to your baseline. So when you're in a deficit of health and not feeling alive and vital, well, then your body is going to want to be remedied in such a way that it comes back to baseline. But then once you're at this baseline, now the second half of the definition can really become alive, where you live from that place, animated by your true self, by your higher purpose, by the most congruent, kind of aligned aspect of your deepest, most heart and soul desires. This is then what's available once you achieve a baseline of health. So this definition of health gives us a whole beautiful, inspiring layers of opportunity as we unfold our journeys in Ayurveda and our journeys of consciousness, especially if you're like a yogic meditator type of person. You probably have already cultivated self-awareness, etc. But you recognize, oh, there's an aspect of me that is dense and earthy that needs to catch up to the realizations that I might have in my meditation, or the connection, interconnectedness that I experience. Well, the body is the way to integrate all of that. And this definition is speaking to that whole of the journey, whether you're a yoga inclined person, consider yourself a yogi, or meditative inclined person seeking spiritual awakening, enlightenment, or if you're a person who found Ayurveda through physical health and just needing to remedy certain things that were feeling really uncomfortable in your body, or reverse certain disease processes. This definition of health and studying a little more deeply some of these Ayurvedic terms gets you to contemplate on all of it, the richness of that whole journey, and it meets you wherever you're at. So I hope that this brief overview was supportive for you. And if this type of approach resonates with you, I usually run trainings where we deep dive into the foundations of Ayurveda, and we study that in a study group together. It's a 6-month course, so you can always get more information about that as well. But at the very least, click some of the links below the description of this video that have your study guide, and will give you information on the next available trainings for the Ayurvedic study group. And let us continue journeying together and churning and learning this beautiful science that is self-actualizing in our own life. And with that brings so much satisfaction. It trains our mind, because let's face it, our mind can go down all kinds of loops or derail us in life, and thinking about all kinds of different things. But if you feed it the nourishment of Sanskrit study and sutra study like this, then the mind is actually also trained to support you through pathways of higher wisdom. So that's what we're here to do together. I hope to get to meet you someday. Please write in the comments below if you've ever heard this definition of health before, or just how it inspired you. What's one word that you're taking away from this video and from this concept that just really stuck with you? I would love to hear what stood out to you the most. And lots of love to you. Hari Om Tat Sat. See you soon.